Who gave Randy Pitchford his phone back? Because on Wednesday, he was back on Twitter, and this time, it wasn't just an apology, it was an incredibly lengthy apology. In fact, the apology was longer than several books of the Bible. That's real. You can Google that. So the question is, does it fix anything? Is it heartfelt? Is it damage control? Or is this just another episode of Randy Says Stuff? Let's break it down. I will say, Jay, that not only did Randy respond, he responded to the tune of 557 words on Twitter.
So it's his Martin Luther 95 thesis nailed to the door.
It is his magnum opus of apologies. If you want to read the book, I'll put his tweet in the description below. If you want to watch the movie, you can watch us, and we'll make sure that there's backing music. We'll set it up for a sequel. It'll be great. It'll be the Lord of the Rings of movies about tweets. So Randy starts off exactly where you would expect him to, apologizing for the misunderstanding of the whole real fans comment. Got that out right up front. He clarified that his intention wasn't to pressure anyone into paying more than they're comfortable with, but the intention was rather to simply reassure a worried fan that an $80 Borderlands would still not fail because of the fans. They would be there. The game would not fail. And so he was basically saying, hey, it was taken the wrong way. My intent was to reassure this person that feared that Borderlands 4 may fail if it was $80. His intention was to reassure him, no, it won't fail because we have our fans, and our fans won't let it fail. Did it come out that way? No. And Jay and I mentioned that in the video. Again, watch that video and you can get the whole breakdown. But yeah, that was that. And it was an absolute storm. But what do you think so far, Jay? As far as the points he's making, what do you think about it?
So I think, yes, he probably spewed off at the mouth a little bit and probably didn't mean everything, or at least didn't mean the tone in the way it was conveyed to the public. And then obviously we took it not how he meant it. And that's unfortunate because, again, you can't convey tone in a tweet. And, you know, my thoughts, and one thing he's definitely right about is his fans will not let this game fail. He's right that his real fans will pay $80 for Borderlands. They don't want to. None of us want to. It's unfortunate. The cost of living's gone up 31% in 2 years. And that's going to make its way to games.
Yeah, I will say that while I do believe that the majority of fans would pay $80, they're not GTA. And while I thought like GTA could charge $100 and it's still gonna sell like
Fly
crazy,
off the shelf.
I think Borderlands 4 could not do that. I think 80 they could get away with, but 100 no. So they're certainly not in that same
At
position.
least not for a standard edition.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely not. So he goes on, he further explains several things. He reiterated again that the decision on pricing is not up to him. And even though I know that this is not what people want to hear, I believe that to be the case. It's the publishing house, it's the execs, and he can saber rattle and do all that on part of the fans, but ultimately it's not going to be up to him. It's going to be the shareholders that the executives think about, and not Randy Pitchford's feelings or the fans in their pocketbook. It's going to be shareholders. So I believe that he truly does not have a say. I don't know. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, and I mean, if it anything, it's going to be him sitting down in front of these guys and going, "I would like this to happen, and I need you guys to tell me A, why it couldn't, or B, if it can, let's figure it out, or C, let's offer some other additions where you guys can still make your money because, as I inadvertently said, our fans will pay $80. So maybe we make an $80 edition and those guys will still buy it." And I've got to the point now where if it's something I really want, I'll just get the big boy edition because I just don't want to have to deal with the hassle of 3 months down the road, the DLC launches, and then I have to buy that. And then 2 months later down the road, a bunch of aesthetics. And then another 2 months down the road is another DLC pack. And sometimes I lose track of that. And the DLC's been out for 2 months and I didn't even know it. And I had access to it. And this is where I think he's right. And it sucks. But, you know, I'd almost rather him come out with some big boy editions and leave the standard edition for the people that can't afford it. And that's fine. And I don't mean that the way that sounded, but, you know, sometimes I buy the standard. Like if your deluxe edition is the soundtrack and a digital art book, then I'm getting the standard edition.
Well, hey, if you made it this far, congratulations. You made the cut. You're on the team. So go ahead and hit subscribe to make it official and give us a like so that YouTube doesn't try to hide us under another Star Citizen ad. I agree with Jay. I think that he can essentially be an advocate for the consumer, but I don't think that he's going to be able to force a decision. He can say, hey, we could do this or that, like Jay mentioned. But yeah, I don't think that he's going to be able to have any sway over the actual cost. He also mentioned that he believes that the industry is gradually shifting toward higher prices, and as we've talked about now many times, that is just objectively, demonstrably true. Nintendo has already made the push to $80 games. Xbox has already promised to do the push towards $80 games. It is happening. Can't be stopped. It can only be slowed. So I don't think that Borderlands 4, as I mentioned before, I don't think that Borderlands 4 wants to be the first third party game that does it, but somebody's going to be. And once that ball gets rolling, it's going to continue to roll and it's going to snowball, and then that's just going to be the default standard. But it is coming. It can only be slowed down. Randy goes on to say that he only meant to say that Borderlands 4 will still be successful because fans will see its value and not to gatekeep the fan base. He wasn't trying to say that you are not a real fan if you are unable to pay $80. He was rather trying to say that even if $80 was the price point, Borderlands has such a fan base that they would not allow it to fail. So that was what he was trying to articulate, but in a very inarticulate way. And that makes sense to me. It's easy to make these mistakes, and especially whenever this is not your job, you are not PR trained. I'm sure he has been PR trained, but I don't
Yeah.
think that training took. But you can say something in text, and it can be read in any tone that the reader wishes to receive it in, and that's the way that it's going to hit. And then once it's, especially if you're in a public position like he is, if that ball gets rolling and it's read and perceived in such a way, and especially somebody like Randy Pitchford, who can kind of frequently find his way on the wrong end of the fans' ire, people are going to go out of their way to read things in a negative light from him. And this is one you didn't even have to go out of your way, though. This is one that was just on its face,
Yeah.
not a good phrasing. So of course this one was going to go absolutely bananas whenever it hit the internet.
It's funny as a racing fan and watching what I watch, those guys are not allowed to have their phones on race weekends.
What a brilliant idea.
The drivers, and they have a little PR person that follows them around everywhere with their phone. And, that person will be like, "Hey, so and so just tweeted this. How do you want to respond?" And they'll say it out loud. And then the PR person will
Filter it through
do
their
some
whole thing.
do some voodoo magic and add in the team mix to it about, because the team doesn't want certain information getting out in certain ways. And those people are hired specifically to do that. It's spin doctors basically. So, Randy has reached a point. I think he needs to realize he's not the guy in his garage coming up with games anymore. And he might need a spin doctor person following him around with
Yeah,
his phone.
you know what? I'll be more generous than Jay here. You know what? I would be willing to allow Randy to have a cell phone. I would just insist that that cell phone be a jitterbug. Send calls and receive calls, and that's it. No internet, no Twitter, nothing. Stay
Yeah,
off
no
of it.
social media.
So I'm willing to concede that to Randy. You can have essentially a walkie-talkie on the 6 months prior to your game releasing. He said that the phrase real fans was a mistake and came off wrong. No
Oh
shit.
yeah.
He did say though that even though it came off wrong, he did in fact mean it sincerely. And I believe that's true. I believe that he was trying to say real fans as sort of him showing his appreciation for the fan, and instead it came up like a measuring stick is the way that it was received. If you don't pay $80, you are not a real fan, as opposed
Right.
to you are real fans, you will support us, and I appreciate that. Boy, did it not come out that way. And since it didn't come out that way, it wasn't received that way.
I don't think it would have mattered what Randy said. They would have taken it wrong.
Yeah, and then
So,
he just happened to have said it in probably the
oh
worst
man,
conceivable way that it could have been said. He then goes on and said that he never wants to take the audience for granted and that he's humbled by the audience's support. He emphasized that he is an artist. He started out as a nerd. He is an executive now, but that's not where he started. He is an artist and he wants games to be accessible and affordable, and he understands that the market forces are raising costs. And that's a reality, and we mentioned that before. We know that it's an inevitability, and we can only hope to slow it down. Hopefully Borderlands 4 is not the domino that starts the whole effect. But he closed by asking people to remember that creators are human, and while he's not perfect, his intentions are good and they're rooted in passion. and that his intention is to bring joy to people through games. So that is the summary, even though obviously you could read his entire 557 words in shorter time than you listen to us, but you get the breakdown. You get the movie here. That's his statement. I've got a few things here. So overall, what do you think, Jay? What do you think about the statement? What do you think about the way that Randy handled it? And how do you think this statement is going to be received as the week goes on?
One thing I like about it, and I'm sure this is where his PR department got involved with the whole, you can't just not say anything. Clarify your statement and don't be condescending. Speak to your fans that you know and love and tell them what you actually meant. Tell them what the tone of the message that you were trying to send versus what you did convey. And that'll fix it. Not, and I think in the long run, he's going to be fine. I feel like what you've shared with me tonight is more than adequate. Of course, I'm a lot more accepting than some people. And some people just want to watch the world burn, dude. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely think that some people were looking for a fight, and that even though some of them might not have been, and granted, the way that it came out, like, certainly not defending that. It definitely
yeah.
came out wrong, but I do think there are a lot of people here that probably would not have thought twice over the way that the tweet was worded had it been literally anybody else. And I think that some people took this as an opportunity to take another swing at Randy because, again, Randy has been here so frequently on the wrong side of the ire of the fan. And I agree with you, Jay. I think that this was as good of a statement as you could make given what's going on. I think the people that want to hate him will continue to hate him after this statement. I think that the
Yeah.
people that are willing to forgive him have already forgiven him before this statement. So I think this is a thing where it's just kind of put it out there, let people do what they will with it, but this can be his final word on it. I think that he's in 557 words. Surely he has had enough room to articulate himself thoroughly, and he can now put it to rest and not lose sleep over it. And I don't think this will be remembered by the time Borderlands 4 comes out. I think like all the other things that have come out where he's said something wrong, put his foot in his mouth, they will go away and it'll just be, "Oh, Randy," until the next time he says something stupid, and there will be a next time, I'm sure. It is Randy Pitchford. But the next time he says something stupid, it'll just be one of the things that's brought up along with all the other things, and it'll kind of just get drummed up again, but it's not going to be a big deal. I think
I
it's
think it,
just
I think,
he just happened to
go
hit a
ahead.
slow news week. Given all of this, all the high rolling ballyhoo around this entire controversy, the statement, all this stuff, does this make it more or less likely that Borderlands 4 will be $80? Or do you think that it doesn't even factor into Take Two Interactive's decision making on it?
I don't think it'll be $80 now. I think this fiasco saw to that. I think it'll come in at the 69.99 price for the PS5. There is no PS4 version on this one, is there? It's straight
No,
up.
no, no. This is all
Thank God.
current gen
Okay,
only.
good.
Until
So
they
I
make
think
the
you're
inevitable Switch 2 port, I'm sure.
yeah, I'm thinking you're going to see a 69.99 price tag with a couple of pre-order bonuses where they give you maybe a gun set or an armor set, whatever. I think it's a much ado about nothing. Honestly, I think it's going to come in right at the standard.
I do too, and I agree with you. I think that if Take Two Interactive even had an inkling, if they were even considering, maybe we can be the first third party to do the $80 thing. Maybe we can take that hit. If they were even entertaining that for a moment, I think if anything, this solidified, you know what? We don't want the smoke. We're good. Maybe not. Not this one. We'll let this one go. Maybe the next big release. Maybe the next big release will entertain $80. So in a funny way, I think all of this controversy surrounding the tweet and all of that, I think that it almost virtually guaranteed that it won't be $80. And as visibly uncomfortable as Randy was about talking about the price. He is so uncomfortable with this. But after all of this, I think Randy just dropped the price. I think we're good. I think we got $70 pretty much locked in at this point now. I think this will all be forgotten. I think we can kind of put it behind us. I think that we're done with it now. There's still going to be some people that are going to try to churn this up and continue to make controversy about it, I am sure. But I think for the gaming community in general, I think everybody is just going to put this to bed at this point and be done with it.
Yeah, agreed.
So that is Randy's apology, and given the discourse on Twitter and the news, it seems like accepting his apology may actually be the hotter take. But the real question is, what did you think? Did you find it sincere? Did it change your mind? Let us know in the comments. Just keep it under 557 words. And if you missed the entire first half of this saga, it's this video. Click this video and we'll break it down for you and you'll be all caught up. Thanks again.